Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the U.S. national debt. First, before we get into it, just going to let you know, once a week I plan on sending out surveys to those who are subscribed, just seeing what your opinion is. And the very first one I'm going to be sending out this week is your opinion on the national debt. What do you expect that the U.S. will actually pay down the national debt? It'll be interesting to see how many expect that the U.S. will be able to or will not be able to pay down the debt. But let us begin on this video. So the U.S. national debt is at $23 trillion. And one of the things I'm looking at, especially with the U.S. presidency for 23-24, I remember specifically that Donald Trump literally stated that he'd be able to cut the national debt in half his first term. His second term, he said he would be able to eliminate the debt. I want you to watch this video with O'Reilly and Trump discussing, this is before he became president, how he was going to cut the debt. He doesn't go into detail and say in this video specifically, saying he's going to cut it in half or pay the whole thing off. But he said he'll be able to pay down the debt. So watch this video.
I believe that one of the biggest problems America has is the national debt. Yet it's rarely talked about on the stump. Most people don't understand it, don't care about it. Can you tell us tonight why a $19 trillion debt is important to the folks?
We are mortgaging our future. We're mortgaging our children's future.
But what does that mean? How is that going to come back to hurt the kids? How?
Well, because we are going to have to pay this money back at some point, and at some point it's going to be impossible. You know, I've always heard and read a lot on it and understand it and went to Wharton and all of that stuff. I've always heard that $24 trillion, we become Greece.
With all of the Social Security payments, with all of the Medicare payments, with all of the social welfare programs that we have, how is any human being going to bring down the debt? I mean, what are you going to do?
Okay, Bill, are you ready? Okay,
I'm ready.
So we have a country. We have a country with no growth. We have no growth. You know, last quarter, did you see that? Practically zero growth, which is almost unheard of. When China does 7%, they're practically in a depression. We do nothing because our jobs are leaving.
You're going to grow it, but how will that bring down the debt?
No. I'll tell you how it's going to bring it back, because we're going to create a dynamic economy again. We're going to bring the jobs back from China, from Mexico, from Japan,
still owe the money.
From Vietnam.
No, you still owe the money,
Bill, but
so you bring it back. So how are you going to get the debt down?
Because the country is going to start growing and will be up to 4 and even 5%. And when we do that, we pay it back so easily.
How?
It's easy to pay it back. How? Because essentially, if you look at the country like a profit-making corporation or a losing corporation, right now we're a losing corporation. We're going to make it a profit-making corporation.
Okay, but then you're going to have to raise taxes
to
get more money in to pay down that debt.
The problem we have is our taxes are so high that nobody can. Everybody's choking.
Welcome back. Here is a chart of the U.S. debt from the Federal Reserve. When Trump took office in 2017, and that's where you see this quarter one of 2017, the national debt, the U.S. national debt, was at $19.8 trillion. As of quarter one of 2020, we're at $23.2 trillion. And this doesn't include any of the stimulus packages, the multiple, 3 or 4 now, packages that will add on top of this debt. Does not include people that either stopped working because the business is shut down and are now reopening, and people that have been laid off, which means there's less revenue coming in because people are not paying taxes, of course, because they're not collecting a paycheck, that the U.S. government will receive, which means they include even more debt on top of that. And remember in that video, Trump said that the U.S. would be like Greece, a larger Greece, once we hit $24 trillion. We will easily surpass that this year. Easily surpass $24 trillion with all of these stimulus packages passed. Here is the next one, which is the GDP. One thing he said in a video was, if taxes are decreased, we would have anywhere between 4 and 5% GDP to be able to pay down the national debt, because we'll be receiving all this money because of the increase in GDP. The tax bill, if I remember correctly, passed in 2017 but didn't really take effect until 2018. And as you see here in GDP, over that time, over 2018 and 2019 time period, there's only been 2 quarters in which we even went into the 3% range, nowhere near 4%. And in fact, in 2019, if you look on this chart, which is provided by the BEA.gov website, we were in 2% range in 3 to 4 quarters in 2019. And in fact, the national deficit, which is just the debt year over year, for 2019 was at the same levels as when the financial crisis occurred, which we were accruing $1 trillion a year under Trump. And as expected, though, because of the coronavirus, and I don't put the coronavirus on Trump because of the economy, there's nothing no one can do about this, it's expected that we'd be in negative territory for 2020, which is the first quarter of 2020, and I expect the second quarter of 2020 would be even worse, because all this didn't start occurring until March, which is around the end of the first quarter, and then April's into the second quarter. But the tax cuts, clearly, and this has been proven in the past, just by doing tax cuts does not guarantee increase in GDP. So this is defunct. Now, I think this is very important to understand this. This is the unemployment when between the Obama and Trump campaign. First of all, Trump says whenever he talks, this is the lowest in history that the U.S. unemployment has occurred. And as you can see here in 2020, the far right, it is not, because the unemployment was lower in the late 1960s, actually 1969, and the lowest that I have seen on record is actually in 1953, when it was down to 2.5%. Trump was able to get it down to 3.5%. One of the things I don't like he does is, if you take the numbers as a percentage of unemployment, the blue line that I did here, that was during the Obama administration. When he came in 2009, unemployment was at 6.75, and it was during a crisis. Obama came in post-crisis. Trump came in post-crisis. So, of course, it was going to increase. And this is where politics comes into play. When Obama left office, unemployment was at 4.5%. Okay? 4.5%. That was the beginning of 2017, because Trump comes in January, February-ish, and he really doesn't take over till after a few months of that, because things for the economy doesn't start taking over with Trump for a few months, because his policies and stuff takes time to reflect his changes. But he's only taken unemployment from 4.5% to 3.5%, and he's calling that historic. So 1% decrease under his administration before the coronavirus, and of course, as you can see here on the chart, that it went up to between 14.5 and 14.7% unemployment. But to call it historic 1% decrease in a 3-year term, historic, great, that's amazing. And we lost, and we traded 1% unemployment decrease for $3 trillion in additional debt. We didn't turn it around. We increased the debt from 19.8 to 23.2 for 1% lower unemployment, from 14.5 to 4.5 to 3.5% unemployment. This is the numbers. I'm not fabricating anything. This is the actual numbers. And this is what he's going to be going on during the presidential campaign. And I'm bringing this up because I'm not going over just after Trump specifically, because the debt has been going on for long periods of time. And we keep hearing the same thing out of Republicans. We're going to lower the debt. We're going to lower the debt. And it hasn't. Even under the Bush administration, the debt skyrocketed because we went to war. So when are we going to start holding these presidential elects accountable for anything? There's numerous things that can go on with President Trump that he promised. But I just want to bring this one up, one specifically, as an example of, we're making promises we're going to cut the debt. It's very simple. Remember, it's very simple. Just cut taxes and it's going to take care of itself pretty much. And it's not true. He's treating the U.S. country like it's a company. But the problem is the U.S. country just can't go and reset on a U.S. default without infecting everyone. It's not a tax write-off like a company. It affects everyone's lives. But the question is to you. Do you believe whether Democrat, Republic, or any independent, even if an independent came in, do you think any of them would do the right thing to cut the national debt? Do you think the U.S. will ever be able to pay down the national debt? My opinion, I think we're past the point of no return. I did the math on it, and at this point, the only thing we're worried about is being able to keep the interest rates low so we can make the monthly payment. Just like someone who has a ton of debt, like a normal person has tons of debt. They have a good income, but they have tons of debt. And you want to keep that interest rate low so you can just keep making that monthly payment. But there's going to come a time, and even as Trump did say the right thing, there's going to come a time where we're going to have to pay this back. But by the time we get to doing that, in my opinion, we're going to have to default. I hate to say it, but things aren't as great that he perceives. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. If you wish to receive additional video content such as this, click subscribe and leave any comments that you may have below in the comment section. And remember, I'm going to be sending out a survey for everyone to answer. Do you think the U.S. will be able to pay down the national debt? It's going to be a yes or no answer. And it'll be interesting to see how many people, click in any of those categories. And thank you very much for taking your time to watch this video. Have a wonderful day.